Never chase an avoidant. When they're pulling away, don't chase. Don't try to convince them to re-engage in the relationship. Definitely don't beg. Don't blow up their phone. Don't send them heartfelt messages, emails. Don't go knocking on their door. Don't call them incessantly. Don't try to convince them to re-engage in the relationship with you. There are multiple reasons why not to do this, but let's start with the most important reason of all. The most important reason of all, your self-worth. Love shouldn't have to be earned. And you shouldn't have to try to convince someone to choose you. You shouldn't have to chase someone and prove to them that you're worth loving. You shouldn't have to earn their love. And by chasing them, you're unintentionally sending yourself the message that love has to be earned, that you have to convince them to choose you, that you have to win their affection and prove to them that you are worth engaging in a relationship with. It's a very anxious message to send yourself, and it's not one that's filled with self-respect. No, instead, don't chase them, because when you don't chase them, you're actually respecting your self-worth. You're recognizing and acknowledging that love shouldn't have to be earned, that you deserve love that's given freely, that's not conditional based on you winning their approval. No, they don't have to earn your love, so you shouldn't have to win and earn theirs. By chasing them, you are reinforcing anxious narratives in your own head, deepening anxious attachment, and really chipping away at your self-esteem and your self-confidence. So no, don't chase them, first and foremost, for your own self-respect. Number 2, and this is important as well, you are giving them more of what triggers them. When you're dealing with an avoidant, especially a dismissive avoidant, you are dealing with a person that already feels like love is unsafe. Their nervous system is trained to feel unsafe with love and intimacy. They're pulling back to escape what you're trying to give them when you are bombarding them with loving text messages, when you are trying to convince them to come back to the relationship, when you're pouring your heart out to them. It's just triggering them more and more and more. This is a person that was on the receiving end of profound, consistent childhood emotional neglect. And they were taught that their emotions weren't safe. When they had feelings as a kid, it was rejected. Sometimes even consequences for their emotions. Kids crying, stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about. Those are the kind of messages that were sent to an avoidant, especially a dismissive avoidant, in childhood. So they learned that emotional expression is unsafe, and they personalized that emotional neglect. And because they personalized it, they developed a deep wound of shame. Shame is a toxic emotion. And that shame is, I'm defective, I'm not lovable, I'm worthless. And their big fear is that they get too close to anybody, if they let someone behind the walls and into their heart, their partner is going to figure out that they're defective and not lovable, and they're going to reject and abandon them. So closeness feels unsafe. They're taking that distance to regulate themselves and feel safe again, because avoiding things, not dealing with it, is the only way that they know how to regulate themselves and to feel safe again. Nobody ever showed them how to process emotions. No one ever showed them how to deal with stress as a kid. So they had to figure it out on their own. The way they figured out is to just avoid it. Now that's what they're doing. They're trying to regulate themselves. But when you are bombarding them with love, affection, when you're trying to give them big emotional displays and sending them those heartfelt messages, you're just giving them more and more and more what already feels unsafe to them. And you're proving to them that it is unsafe because you're putting pressure on them. They are already very sensitive to pressure, and you're piling it on, triggering them more and more and more, contributing to more and more and more shutdown. You're not going to have any productive conversation with them as long as you chase them. So stop chasing them. Okay, so what should you do? Hold a boundary. Boundaries are your limits of what you want, what you don't want, what you allow, what you won't allow, what you'll tolerate, what you won't tolerate, and what your needs and expectations are. You can't control them. And your boundaries aren't designed to control them, but they are designed to set your limits of what you will subject yourself to. And if them pulling away, if that doesn't work for you, then you can simply assert a boundary. And that boundary can look something like this. Consistency with communication and openness is something that's really important to me. When I'm pulled away from and I don't hear from my partner for days, that's not something that really works for me in a relationship. If you need space and you need time and space to regulate yourself and to really collect yourself, that's okay. But the lack of communication and the lack of clarity doesn't work for me. When you're ready to have a conversation, let me know, and we can discuss a better way to handle this in the future. There you go. Now, if they're unwilling to engage and if they're unwilling to have that conversation when they've regulated and calmed down, there you go. There's your answer. They're not willing to show up for you in a way that meets your needs. Then you might need to reevaluate, does this relationship work for me? If they're not willing to be consistent, if they're not willing to respect your limits, there's your answer. You shouldn't have to self-abandon and walk on eggshells to keep them in the relationship, to convince them to stick around. No, if you want consistency with communication, you need to hold that boundary. And if they're not willing to meet you there, then you have to be willing to step away from the relationship. Because self-abandoning, trying to win their love, walking on eggshells, letting your needs go unmet, and not holding boundaries is anxious behavior, and it doesn't fix the situation. It doesn't make them emotionally available. It doesn't win their love in a meaningful way that is sustainable for a healthy relationship. So recognize your worth. Don't chase them, but don't give them more of what triggers them. Hold a healthy boundary. See if they can have that conversation and be willing to respect your needs and show up for you. And if they're not, as hard as it is, walk away, because you shouldn't have to earn love and you shouldn't have to chase someone and try to convince them to love you. You deserve to be loved and be given that love the way that you give it so freely to them.